hope so.
Thanks for the cigar, bud.
Absolutely, one of my favorites, the Undercrown. But this is one of their, special edition ones. Hard to find, and I was able to get two.
Well, I'm honored.
I saved this.
Cheers.
Just so I could
Cheers.
share it with you.
I appreciate it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I gave you some good ones. They're not. There's a few in there that are super high end. Most of them are going to be like B&M if you go $12 to the $15 range, but there's a couple of $20 and $30 ones in there. I didn't pay that.
I find that
you and I are kind of the same. We both buy boxes.
Very frugal with my cigar money. But
we buy boxes, so we're not paying brick and mortar prices.
And that's what I do. But I find that some of the mid-range stuff is better than the expensive stuff because the Toro Fuente Opus X, which is now $70, $60, $70, $80 cigar, and I get a Ave Maria Ricanista, which is $18 to $20, and they're equal in enjoyment. I mean, so I buy the lower brand, I guess.
No, I'm right there with you, dude. Those Marco V's, they're $8 in a brick and mortar store, and I will put them against any, and I mean any, $15 cigar. And I'm convinced those $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70 cigars, I'm convinced it's a combination of three things. Marketing. There's a lot of advertising costs. They spend a lot of money to push that name and that brand. Number two, quality control. They're throwing away a lot of cigars to make sure you get a good one.
Right.
And number three, hype. Just pure demand.
Yeah.
Just pure supply and demand.
You're looking at, name recognition on a lot of the stuff. But, even some of the moderately or modestly priced ones that have the Nicaraguan, filtered tobacco, they mix it with Cuban tobacco, or they take Cuban seeds and they grow it in Nicaragua. It has a completely different flavor than in Cuba because you have
the soil,
different soil and aeration and stuff. But I'll tell you, the Nicaraguan with the Cuban seeds, some of the best cigars I've ever had.
Yeah, I am in the camp, and I talked to the Marco V guys about this. I am in the camp that Cuba hasn't made the best cigars in the world since somewhere between the 90s and the early 2000s.
I would even say after the 60s, it just went downhill. There are people that still have these Cubans that were hand rolled from the 60s, early 70s. Those cigars are going for thousands of dollars.
That's why I asked you. So, do you actually like that Cuban taste? Because it's not flavorful like it is from Nicaragua and Dominican Republic. It tastes like hay.
I had a buddy I worked with that was stationed at Guantanamo, and one of the things was a fantastic guy, great police officer. Always looked after us cigar smokers, and he sent back a care package from Cuba. With a lot of the Cuban Arturo Fuentes or basic stuff and some really good stuff that he got on base. And the flavor on those, even though putting them into the humidor, and I kept them in the humidor for about a year just so they were fantastic, and smoked them, and they were okay. I mean, I wouldn't say, oh, my God, this is the greatest cigar. They were okay.
Yeah, it's a very signature taste that a real Cuban has. And it's not a super flavorful cigar. It's what I call a flavor bomb, right? And that doesn't mean it's super powerful. I'm just saying, like I was describing that one to you, the Armada.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the foot of that cigar, and especially if you go really low like I do, I go down as low as I can physically hold them.
Yeah, burning my fingers.
Yeah, exactly. I'll put the little stick in there and even get a couple more. But you put it out, and I'm not joking, like within minutes, like 2 to 5 minutes, you'll be doing something, and you'll lick your lips, and you're like, I literally taste chocolate. Like, it's not just an aroma.
Right.
Like, this literally tastes like chocolate now. And it's just super. That's not going to come from a Cuban is all I'm getting at.
The thing that I found with the Cubans, they're a complimentary cigar. Complements like a nice whiskey. So if you have a really good bourbon, that cigar, it changes the flavor of that cigar with the whiskey. It's a good pairing item, and back in the day, back in the turn of the century, it was cigars were smoked with drinking brandy. you didn't just smoke a cigar. That was unheard of. You enjoyed a brandy with the cigar because you paired it. So I found like their Arturo Fuente, the Habano, they're good with good whiskey or a good like cognac. And that's how after I had one, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to pair these. And there's good pairing cigars. Like the one here, the Undercrown that we have here, you don't need anything. It stands, on its own. And
it's
just
going great with the Guinness.
Great, yeah. Oh, yeah. And Guinness is another good one with any Maduro. I love Guinness with the Maduro. Pairs
What's
perfectly.
super interesting is that, and I'm not talking, I've said this, people have heard me say this a lot, so I got to be careful because I'm talking about two different things right now. For two different reasons, even in Cuba, you can't get a real classic Cuban anymore. And there's two reasons for it. Yep. Number one, the original Cuban seed, which was called, look this up. I believe it's either called the Criollo, which is, it's Criollo, which is Criollo. It's either that or it's the Corojo, which is Coroja. Look both those up. One of those is the true original Cuban seed.
Yep.
But it wasn't very pretty. It wasn't very good.
Yep.
And then they developed the next one, and I think that's the Corojo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we kind of get this silky smooth, beautiful wrapper, right? But then they ended up with some sort of blight, some sort of fungus. I can't remember what. I think it's called blue mold, and it literally killed 100% Creole tobacco, original Cuban seed. Yep, known as native seed. Yep, and then the next one, Corojo, is the evolution of that.
Right,
and then. That, I think it's called blue mold, but they had some sort of blight, and all of that's gone. So what happened is they created a new seed called the Habano, and I believe it's called the Habano 98. And that is the seed that was able to withstand this blue mold. So,
right.
So quite literally, that's reason number one, even in Cuba, you're not getting a Cuban cigar like they made in the 60s. It's just not going to be a thing. It's not going to
be the same.
Number two, they signed a proverbial contract with an exclusive contract, and it's not a literal handwritten contract, but it's a backdoor deal with the Chinese Communist Party to buy 100% of the Cuban stock.
I heard that too.
So even in Cuba right now, you can't buy a real Cuban cigar.
Not unless you get it hand rolled. And the things that they were doing before is like on the island you have different aeration, you have different salt and moisture and stuff. So they were taking different same seed but in different areas as the filler.
Yep.
And then in one area where you had a lot of humidity, a lot of the soil, volcanic soil, they did the broadleaf. So when they rolled these, like back in the 60s, you had an incredible cigar, and that's not what you get now. Now for the consumer, they'll put together. Well, here's the broadleaf from over here. It's not the original broadleaf. We're going to throw a filler here from one of the areas, and it just doesn't taste the same.
Right.
It's okay, and that's because you're not blending the filler from different parts of the island to get the different flavors to have it, and then you're getting a rich. Kind of a spice-flavored, rich, almost chocolatey flavor broadleaf that it's, wrapped in.
Yep.
And it's not done like they used to,
No.
Where you had someone that would actually roll them. Now, they would have people that would, in Guantanamo, from my understanding, as they would have guys who would come in and they would blend and roll these cigars on site, and you can't send them back. But they, from my understanding, what I'm told is like, sorry you got the shit cigars because these are the bomb. And it's like, yeah, you shouldn't have told me that.
Yeah. If somebody's listening to this and they want to try something that's as close to Cuban as possible from the New World cigar lines, ironically, it's the Arturo Fuente Hemingway cigar.
Yes.
That is a direct clone from the company that makes it in Cuba but they're doing it outside of Cuba so they can sell it to Americans. And it's a direct clone of the Joya del Monterrey, number 2, I think. Look that up for me. Joya de Monterrey,
and they do
number 2 Cuban clone, and it should say it's the Arturo Fuente. Or you can reverse that, type it the other way, and it'll tell you what it's a clone of. But if you guys want to know what a Cuban cigar tastes like, the closest you'll ever get to it is that cigar.
Well, and Arturo Fuente also does both the Honduran and Nicaraguan.
Yeah, and that Hemingway is Nicaraguan.
Nicaraguan, yeah.
But they intentionally designed that to get as close
as possible,
a classic Cuban as you could. Is that what? Yeah, the Joya de Monterrey, number 2 Cuban clone. Yeah.